Hello tanks and tankettes, and welcome to a replay of mine. And I've picked this one out for a couple of reasons. Firstly, because it's the Jagdpanther, which follows on of course from the Jagdpanther 4, and this replay is going to follow on from a Jagdpanther 4 game. And it was actually doing that Jagdpanther 4 replay that reminded me that I had this wrong tense, in my to-do folder or to record folder. So here it is. It's a relatively short game, but it's going to display some of the strengths of this machine, I think. Now, it is a pretty good step up from the Jagdpanther 4, which I think I was reasonably fair about. I said that it's sort of mediocre because it doesn't do anything particularly well, but it doesn't do anything particularly badly either. And it does have a couple of good qualities. A couple of commenters noted that it does have a very good camo value for a tank destroyer. Now, that's not necessarily going to be true for this, but it does have a big step up in firepower. It's also got pretty nice mobility because it's on the Panther chassis. So you've got the option of this 105mm gun or the long 88, but really you want to use the 105 because the long 88 in theory has slightly faster DPM, but for some reason has a little bit worse gun handling. Notably, the aim time is rather worse on the long 88 than this 105mm. And just generally speaking, if you've got a bigger punch on a tank destroyer and it isn't going to excessively cost you in terms of time spent aiming or whatever to use it, then you should go for it because it means less time exposing your tank. Now, that's not necessarily 100% true all the time, of course. For tier 6, 7 and 8 on the French tank destroyer line, it is actually arguable that you don't want to use the top guns available because the gun handling is so bad. But in this case, yeah, you really should be using the 105. So I've come over to this flank. I mean, it's very good matchmaking. There's no artillery, which greatly increases the options that I have. It means I can afford to be more aggressive, and with the fast mediums of our own team having gone gung-ho down here, well, we lost a Cromwell and we almost lost the Skoda, but it also revealed that the enemy team doesn't have a lot here. Most of our team and most of their team is over on the 1, 2, 3 line, and for a machine with mobility like this, it represents some very good opportunities for flanking. Now, I still have to be a bit careful. We might run into a whole bunch of people encamped along that ridge along the H line, but in theory there's enough firepower here, even just between me and the 90B, to take care of these guys. Now, I've definitely got the bigger gun, but the 90B is it's quite fast. It's got a very good horsepower per ton, but it also pays for that with not having any armour particularly. In fact, I think there's one later on because the enemy team has is it the enemy team has one? No, I think it's ours. He gets derped by somebody. So yeah, it is quite vulnerable to that. So moving up, I've done a little bit more damage, but nothing spectacular so far. It's less than 1,000, so mostly from that Leo, but it is going to get higher. This is one of the nice things about this. It's got a pretty decent DPM. So one into that Stuart, and although I set it on fire, somebody else just ninjas the kill, so that's a little unfortunate, but I got most of the health from that scout. Meanwhile, the rest of the team, it's not looking so good actually, despite most of both teams meeting each other. Our flank on the western side of the map has largely just crumbled, so I really have to step it up. We can't sit back here and wait for them to come to us necessarily. What we want to do ideally is mop up these guys here and then deal with the last remaining enemies. So there was a stroke of luck with the T150 being stock and therefore having a less dangerous gun, but even if they had not been stock, even if they'd been fully upgraded, I think we still would have had a good chance of taking him out there. There's another good stroke of luck with this Churchill being potentially a one-shot, but unfortunately that doesn't work out, so he gets away with a little bit of health. I swear it was the 90B that... No, maybe somebody else got derped and I was misremembering the messages. Anyway, I've just glanced at the minimap and noticed that guy's still alive. Clearly I was misremembering that, but anyway, never mind. So, what's left on the enemy team is an 87 with probably a 17 pounder if he's fully upgraded. Dangerous rate of fire, so I can't just sit out in the open. But we outnumber this guy. And the 87, as with all the Nuffield tank destroyers, it does very, very poorly when it's surrounded because it does not traverse well. So with the Panzer IV distracting him and putting ineffective derp shells into his front, I'm able to just sit here and get his rear axle over and over. In fact, the Panzer IV might be retracking him as well. I'm not sure exactly where he's firing those 105mm HE shells. So once again, kill denied, but I got quite a nice chunk of damage out of that 87, so that's alright. I think I also got a little bit of assistance because one of those tracking shots didn't actually do any damage somehow because RNGs has said so. And this now just leaves this IS, and it's been a curious game really because it's felt like I've just zoomed along the flank, put in a bunch of flanking fire, and it's all over. You know, it's only just about reaching the 6 minute mark. So although it's been a rather short, brutal game, and I've actually done, there we go, rubbing speed, I've actually done a reasonably good amount of damage considering the time spent and the matchmaking. It felt like a very easy game, and because we had just a few more tanks on that more important flank over by the cap circle, that absolutely, when it came down to it, tipped it back in our favour. Because although we lost the western flank, it's not like they weren't doing damage, but looking at the score screen you can see, yeah, I was rather out ahead of the rest of the team damage wise. So it was very good matchmaking for the Jagdpanther, and without artillery, yeah, that was going to be as good as it gets, I think. So an ace in 6 minutes. I'm not sure if that was my definitive ace tanker or if I've aced it previously. I have a feeling it might be my ace, you know, because it's one, I think I kept it around just for fun. There's not really any other reason why I would still have it. But yeah, it's actually kind of a fun machine, especially when it's top tier and there's no artillery for you to worry about, and you can actually make use of that speed and the punchy nature of the 105mm to inflict some serious damage. So yes, that was me having fun in World of Tanks. It still does happen from time to time. I know it's a crazy concept, but there it is. So hopefully you've enjoyed this short replay, and if you have, you can hit the like button, leave any comments below, you can sub to my channel if you haven't already, and as always, stay tuned for more.